Hey there guys, Dezmon Landers here, your startup advisor and partner in entrepreneurship. Today we're going to learn how to assess the value of a business buyout. Businesses, especially small ones, are bought and sold every single day. And you may either be an aspiring entrepreneur, a self-employed individual, or someone who's a business owner with a few employees. Regardless of the stage, if you get lucky enough in your life, and I hope that I do one day, if you get lucky enough in your life, you'll be able to create something that is attractive to other people that want to come in and actually purchase, right? And once you do that, you're going to want to make sure that it's a good deal for you. Well, what I've seen is many people make that decision of if this is a good deal or not based on some very lofty, unrealistic expectations that actually leave them in situations where they were kicking themselves, in the foot or in other areas we won't talk about, right? It just wasn't good. I mean, if you look at things like Shark Tank and West Texas Investors Club and The Profit, you've got wealthy people that are wanting to come up to these entrepreneurs or entrepreneurial people, write them a check for some of the things that they've built because they see a lot of value in it. They see a lot of opportunities for it to actually grow into something of greater value and have a cash cow, if you will, in some cases, or a revenue producing asset that they did not have to build. There's a lot of people out there that are sitting on money that you would never think of that are looking for that next thing that's going to bring them income every single month. And maybe your business could be just it. The big issue that I see is people are making decisions because they're trying to get every single thing they wanted in life out of this one deal. And I think that is absolutely the wrong way to assess the value of a business buyout. Before we get started into how to assess it, you must understand how businesses are bought and sold and what they have to have, right? So there's 4 different metrics. Number 1, revenue, gotta have it in most cases. Anywhere outside of a 100-mile square radius of Silicon Valley, Stanford University, San Jose, you actually have to produce revenue and income to be attractive, especially to other business owners that are not necessarily in the tech world or that are in other different industries, right? So you got to have revenue. Normally, when you have revenue, a business that's going to be acquired, in many cases, not all, again, technology is a little bit different, but normally you're going to have the second thing, which is expenses that are attached to that revenue, whether it's fixed expenses or it's variable expenses, right? So you got revenue, you got expenses. The third thing that we hope that you're going to have is actually profits, right? So when you have revenue minus expenses, you've got profits. Profits are the beginning of what makes your business attractive to investors or buyer. The fourth thing that you may not know about is something called a multiple. A multiple is the number of years into the future that an investor or a buyer of businesses is willing to give you based on what you're doing today. This is, this is how you see small companies like Instagram or Groupon, they get these huge valuations because they're growing so fast, and the trajectory of their growth is kind of what they call a hockey stick, right? It just goes up and to the right. Well, every business doesn't experience that, but there's still businesses out there that have a lot of value that are generating great amount of profits that are attractive to a business owner. So if you got revenue, if you got expenses, if you got a profit margin, and they think that your business can be around into the future and they can grow the asset once they acquire it from you, you may just be a candidate for a purchase. Now, if someone comes to you and says, hey, I want to buy your business, the first thing that people do is they try to, like I said before, get everything out of the deal. You cannot do that because you do not want to miss out on something that could change your life, just maybe in a different way than you were originally planning and then you saw on TV. Let me tell you something. People don't retire overnight from selling companies on a daily basis. Those are the anomalies. Normally what happens is people are able to get a decent lump sum, or maybe it's a merger, or maybe it's an all stock purchase, right? Where a company comes in or a buyer comes in and says, hey, I've got this larger chain of car washes. I can't necessarily afford to pay you, or I don't want to pay you in terms of cash, but I can give you stock, and my business is doing $1 million a year, and we have a 50% profit margin, so you could be an equity stake owner, and then I could just pay you a monthly royalty or distribution every month. That's what real deal business acquisitions look like on the smaller scale, which is the one that I'm concerned about for you and for me. On the higher scale, they look a little bit different, but really they're the same as well. So the first thing you want to do is don't think about retiring off the deal. Forget that. Be realistic. Second thing you want to do is you want to determine your biggest current financial challenge, right? I break finances up into 3 areas. Future, what I want to have. Present, what I have today. And past is either what I had previously, or if you look at it from a debt and expense standpoint, what am I trying to pay back that I incurred in my past? So future, present, and past, right? So in the future, your goal is to retire and never have to work again, or to build up a nest egg to where it can carry you into your days where you're non-working, you're non-revenue producing or income producing in terms of your personal activity out into the marketplace. I would highly advise against having this mindset when someone comes to acquire your business if you're 45 years or under. Now, to be 100% honest, you want to talk to your financial advisor. I don't have your balance sheet and your personal P&L statement and your net worth and all that in front of me. But the reason why I say that is because up until about 45, you and even after that, really, I'm being super conservative. I could really say 55. If you're living, you're breathing, and you're of good, decent mental health, you could run businesses to the day you die. I mean, look at people like, Warren Buffett or Charles Koppelman or some of these people that are out there, Carl Icahn. I mean, these people are like 70, 80 years old. The guy, Rupert Murdoch, who runs Fox News. I mean, those are just big names, right? But there's people that you will never hear of that are 80, 90 years old that are running their businesses to this day because they've been able to hire people to do the labor, but they still have peace of mind. You may lose the physical, but you still got peace of mind, at least up to some level. And then once you lose that, if you're 90 or 100 years old, hopefully you've built a succession plan. So if you're 45 or under, I would highly advise against trying to look to the future to make your decision on if it's a good deal. So, but if you are above 45, then you may want to consider that, talk to your financial advisor, your family, etc. Depends on the situation. But overall, you want to look at current and past first. So let's look at it like this. The average person in the United States makes $40,000 a year. I think that may even be the average household income. If someone comes to you and says, hey, I see your business is doing $150,000 a year with a 40% profit margin. That means you're making $60,000 a year. And I think your business will be around for the next 10 years. But I don't want to pay you for 10 years, right? Because then where would I make a profit? But I do want to pay you for 3. That's $180,000. And after you pay the IRS, you're talking about what? You'd be left with somewhere between 110 to 130, depending on how you work out your taxes. And I'm talking liquid in a bank account. So if a household is on average, right? It may not be your household, but if a household is on average making $40,000 a year, if you just stayed at your current lifestyle and you were trying to go from being paycheck to paycheck or only having 30 days or 60 days or 90 days on runway, that deal on its own, it would never make the news and no one would ever really talk about it. But that deal will put your family up for 3 years. You don't have to do anything. You get what I'm saying? People don't say things like that. I wish I could advise the people on Shark Tank. I say, look, dude, if you're making $50K a year, $70K a year right now, and you get a $200,000 buyout offer, take it. As long as if you see any level of significant risk into the future without bringing other people on, or if your heart's not connected to the business, take it. Take it. Cover your family, build out your runway into 2-3 years, and guess what? The next venture that you're going to work on is probably going to be 10 times better because you didn't have to worry about money because remember, that deal paid for the next 2 to 3 years of your family's life. See, the biggest thing that stops an entrepreneur is their cost of living. So if you can eliminate the biggest enemy, you can do anything. So even $100,000 on a deal or even $50,000 on a deal could literally change your life in terms of the way you think about where you are currently with your finances on a monthly basis, right? Now, let's look at the past. Many people have debt. Many people have anywhere from $40,000 to $70,000 in debt that they're going to be paying on their whole life. Some people have $100,000, $150,000 in student debt, doctors, attorneys, etc. And it's going to take them 15 to 20 years on average to pay that off unless they're super conservative and they don't do anything but pay back debt, which most people don't because they're sick of being in school and sick of sacrificing that they didn't go out and spend and try to live like everybody else. So even if you just look at your past and say, hey, look, I've got $70,000 in debt. It took me 3 years to build this business. I'm doing $100,000 a year. I'm doing $35,000 or let's say $30,000 a year in profit. And this guy wants to pay me $90,000 for it. I'll take it. Guess why? Because that pays off my past. I spent 10 years building up that debt. And you're saying in 3 and in basically a day, I can flip it and wipe that debt? Oh, that's over with. Yes, give me the check and I'm going to pay off my debt. Because now, guess what? If I could build a business even to that size, with that much debt on my back and that much stress and that much risk and that much concern and probably friends and family and my wife or my daughter, if I'm a woman, my husband, right, saying that I'm crazy, then what can you do when you're debt free? And what type of access to capital can you get? Because your credit score is going to go up over time, right? Because you don't have any debt. So, you have to really understand, future is great. But present is better, and I would probably even say best, because you want to build runway for your family, because you're not sure what's going to happen in the next 6, 12, 18, 24 months. But the past haunts people for their whole life in terms of their finances. So definitely check into how this deal can just take care of all your debt. Even if it just does that and you don't profit, you don't buy a new car, no nothing, that'll change people's life. Hey, take a lower offer if it solves your biggest financial challenge. So if your biggest financial challenge is the future, take it. If your biggest financial challenge is the current, take it. If your biggest financial challenge is the past, even if it's the worst offer, but it is an offer and it makes sense and it fits into one of those buckets, take the deal, because you can start another business. This isn't your only great idea. And if you put your mind to it, you can absolutely start something new, bigger, better, greater. Or with that money, you can actually, even if you have debt, maybe you don't pay the debt. Maybe you go buy another business that saves you the 3 years that you spent building the first one. And now you can put the next 3 years in there, amplifying another business and increasing the value of that asset to sell it for many, many more multiples into the future. My name is Dezmon Landers, and this is how to value and assess a business buyout for your small business. Talk to you soon.